Good evening. I would like to do another report before the end of the day about what happened in the MILAB child trafficking operation for the 8th of Monday of February 2016. This was the lowest number we've had in a long time. There were only 12 children. I know I say only, like the lives of these 12 children don't matter, but that's exactly why I do this every day. Is because each and every child, there shouldn't be one child raped and murdered in this country by anybody, let alone the president or any of these other filthy low-life criminals. The 12 children were brought in by ICE, Mexican children, and they were then taken to the Albuquerque, New Mexico MILAB. And then they were taken, in the underground rail system to Chicago MILAB number 2. But this was a special party for child rapist and child murderer Rahm Emanuel, who, as you know, used to work in D.C., but then he was handed the Chicago mayoral position on a silver platter. And, of course, Barack Obama was there. Rahm Emanuel and Barack Obama are long-term sexual partners. As I've said before, Mr. Obama has been sodomized by over 11,000 men, well over 12,000 times total. And Rahm Emanuel has been one of the men who've been sodomizing Barack Obama for years. And they had oral sex. And I'm sorry, normally I don't gossip about celebrities, but I'll have to make an exception. So we'll just make this between you and me, okay? We won't tell anybody else. But Barack Obama and Rahm Emanuel had oral sex, and then they each raped and murdered a child. Obama raped and murdered a 9-year-old girl, and Rahm Emanuel raped and murdered a 10-year-old boy. And this was Barack Obama's 268th child. And 44 other males were present, and the other 10 children were murdered by the Secret Service while all the others watched. And then the children's bodies were disposed of in the normal way. They take them and they throw them away like trash. They love to choke the children to death is their favorite way, and they like the children to die at the same moment that they ejaculate into their bodies. And then once the children are dead, a lot of times they would do these other things where they sacrificially will drink blood. I know a lot of times when Barack Obama has murdered an innocent children, he'll bite the necks. Like this girl who became a friend of mine after she was in heaven, I helped her get home to heaven. I need to do a special report on her. Her name was Sarah. But they were finalizing the meeting of remember the Boston Marathon publicity stunt killing event? Well, all the major people were having a meeting, and Barack Obama was there, and the head of the CIA, the head of the NSA, Keith Alexander was there, and that private militia, whatever their name was, Blackwater or whatever. And anyway, all these men were having this meeting. Well, Barack Obama, he's not that bright, and, he can't be interested in details and things like that. So he got up and left the meeting, went down to the basement of the White House, and brutally massacred this little 6-year-old girl who was abducted in Fairfax, Virginia. And beautiful child. She had to be cocooned because while he was raping her, he was ripping flesh off of her neck and biting her, and she just went completely nuts. And it took a while for her. She didn't cross over right away. Most of the children don't cross over to heaven right away because they missed their tunnel of light. I think it took about 6 months. And but luckily for her, though, one of the times that Obama had raped me, because a lot of times the children will follow around the man who killed them, and that was the case with this little girl. And one of the times that Obama had come in to rape me, she had followed me, and then she was trying to communicate with me, but she was so hysterical. I couldn't even understand. I just heard this like really high pitch, so I had to get my spirit guides to help me understand what's going on. And once we got her calmed down, then we were able to help her, and we created a tunnel of light for her to go back to heaven. And she, had to be cocooned, which is a process that Mother and Father God will put what heaven calls freak outs. Some of us don't handle the death process well, especially these children who are murdered. in this horrible way. And they have to be cocooned, and then a lot of times they're taken to the Hall of Healing, or both. And but she left. She didn't stay in heaven. She wanted to get as far away from here as possible, because heaven looks just like Earth, except without all the pollution, without the power lines, without the power plants and all the crap we have here. And really the only thing that's different about heaven is a much higher vibration, and there's the 3 extra continents: Sri Lanka, Lemuria, and Atlantis. And those 3 continents are fully intact in heaven, but they're not here because, they sank into the sea during a war. But, I wanted to bring this up about this special party. Luckily it wasn't hundreds of children involved today, and there have been many, many, many arrests. And the next level, which, I believe is coming up, is the people like the senators, the corporate executives, and whatnot. And so those arrests are about to begin, as I understand, soon. I don't know when. Heaven won't tell me when. But anyway, thank you for your prayers. They've really made a huge, huge difference. And I would like to do a separate report, a separate thank you report, to give details about how these specific prayers of ending child trafficking brought about the arrest of literally over 6,000 men have been arrested. And it was specifically because of these prayers and intent patterns that we created of asking them to be arrested, thanking heaven for these arrests. And that's what we should do on now. And by the way, if you're ever around somebody and they really give you the creeps, and you're looking at somebody, our instincts are there for a reason. You should trust your instincts. But one of the tools that God gives us, which I use all the time, is called the sacred fire. And like if someone comes up to you and you think that they're like a criminal, or you don't really understand, you can do it for a house. For if you walk into a house and you think there's a ghost, you can say, "I invoke the sacred fire to set ablaze this house." You just say it whatever you want. Or you can ask God to do it. You say, "God, thank you for illuminating this whole place with a sacred fire," or "Thank you for illuminating this man with a sacred fire," or woman, or whatever. Or, "I invoke the sacred fire into this man." And what will happen is it's an extremely high vibration energy, and it does amazing things. Like a lot of times when the demons or the reptilians would come in, that's the first thing we do, is invoke the sacred fire in them, because it stuns them, and because they're literally like black entities, like black holes. I mean, they're so dark. It's like sometimes you can't even see them. They're just black, and you can't see their faces or their eyes. But it really, really works well. The sacred fire is one of my favorite ones, and I highly recommend using it. It works great for me, and I'm sure it will for you too. And thank you, and I'm sorry that your president is a filthy, lying murderer who likes to rape and murder children. Thank you. Have a good day. God bless your hearts.